Hello and welcome to Rise and Shine with Alissa. I am your hostess, the consultress, bringing you awesome conversations in innovation, inspiration, and information. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said all my I's. Anyhow, innovation, inspiration, information. Yeah, I totally did. In this age of disruption where nothing's going back to normal and everything's new and up for review, which is the paradigm of the entrepreneur. We're always looking to do better, to solve current problems, and to make our lives in this world a better place. So I have the privilege of networking with and meeting some of the coolest people on the planet. And today's guest is no exception. Welcome, Robert Butwin, to the conversation. How are you?
Amazing and continually getting better, especially in your presence. How can anybody be anything but amazing?
Thank you, sir. It is truly a caliber question. So when we first met, we've been in a couple of Zoom networking meetings together, listening to the type and the quality of advice that you give when people are asking important business questions and are, exposing, their growth edge and asking for help. Your calm demeanor, but you're like, yeah, it's no problem, is what attracted me to you in the first place. So how did you develop such a calm, cool, and collected demeanor, or have you like had this the whole time?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe because of who I married, she's such an amazing person, or being in presence or present of people like yourself. I mean, when I first heard you speak, it was like I knew I was, drawn to you because, you gave an amazing acronym for simple. And I've always talked about how to take the complexity of everything and making it very simple. And it really comes down to a simple equation. And that led into your acronym, which I've been saying for a long time, which is become more conscious and aware of the negative things you put in your mind and body and do less. And the equation is less and more followed with the right action. So be conscious and more aware of the negative things you put in your mind and body, do less and more of the right things in your mind and body and do more, followed with the right action. So, when you gave that acronym, it was like, wow. And then I added to it because I'm using, they say copying is the best form of flattery.
Yes,
So I've
sir.
used what I've learned from you. And again, it's being around just brilliant people.
Yeah, I changed my background for your benefit. Uh, this is the simple methodology that I was talking about, helping people transcend that hustle and grind and get off the struggle bus and step into something where you definitely remove the overcomplicated nature of things, especially when you're in business for yourself. And doing business development and planning the strategy of your business is not for the faint of heart, but we do tend to make things really complicated when we're trying to figure stuff out. But when you simplify stuff, it's because you have seen what works and you're now ready to innovate and pivot. So across your, career span, where'd I go? There I am. Across your career span, where have you seen this ebb and flow, like you said, of like complication and then, doing less so that you can have the bandwidth to do more? Where does that tend to show up?
Well, I mean, it shows up everywhere. I mean, part of it's your strategy, systematizing your process. As far as the S, I like the double S, and it's even when I started my career, and I remember it as if it was yesterday. It was back in 1983, 84, and I'm walking across, in a pasture across from where my, at the time, girlfriend, who's now my wife of 40 years, we were walking, and I turned to her and I said, there's nothing or nobody that's going to stop me from succeeding. And part of it's your intention. So, the I in, simple, and I took what you, and I like adding to it, taking greatness and just adding something else. So part of it's your intention. And, the M, measuring, which has always been very important to me, not necessarily measuring the money, but measuring the activities of what you're doing. But then the other part of the M is the meaning, and it's like when I started my career, my objective was to make a lot of money. Now, things change, and the one constant in life is change. And so my change in that is the meaning based on what you're doing. And to me, my purpose is to live a life of meaning based on helping other people. So it's going, the changes that happen. So, and then the P, which, is the partnerships. And that's why when I first met you, and the first thing that I knew that I saw, and I saw how brilliant you were, I wanted to do a one-on-one and connect us, just, dig deeper on who you are, because you are somebody that I know that there's going to be a long-term partnership as far as a business relationship. And then the other P is your prioritizing the things that you do. And, then leadership, which, today especially, more than any other time, people are looking to get led because there's so much confusion.
Oh gosh, so much.
Yeah. So anyhow, and so the L, leadership and leveraging resources, which is where I made most of my money. And, the key in resources is the human connection, especially with all the AI and everything else. And then the E, empowering and elevating others. So anyhow, that's where as far as being calm, it's like you just learn it. I mean, you need to separate your emotions, and it's how you show up and the way you show up, which is going to be what makes the difference.
Yeah, and so that frantic energy of I got to go 100 miles an hour. I have to be on all the time. I have to, do all the things, wear all the hats, make sure everything is going the way I am directing it. A lot of that struggle comes from our own expectations from ourselves and our own expectations of the outcome of our behaviors. So as we're, trying to do the best we can sometimes get like lulled into a sense that activity and busyness is productivity. And I think what I'm hearing from you is that, focusing on helping others, focusing on leveraging your time and like doing less in your activity, but when you choose an activity, make sure it's meaningful and powerful for you and everybody involved. So like that sense of calm is actually like it's the holy grail. It's what happens when people have this idea of I've arrived. To me anyway, it's a sense of self that we get to develop in terms of certainty and confidence where we're not externalizing ourselves to be validated and approved by others. We just know what we know. We're confident in what works, and we're not going to let the external world decide where we get to place our most precious resource, which is our attention, focus, and our love.
You said it beautifully, and that's so true. I mean, it was like, for example, earlier today, I, was having a one-on-one from one of your referrals, one of your clients, and we were just matching energy, and it was all focused on being there. And it's like, the external world is going to happen. It's the choices we make, staying focused, your attitude. I mean, I believe that there's a direct relationship with your altitude and your attitude. And when I started off, my original mentor said you have to have the attitude of gratitude, be grateful for where you are as you're going where you deserve to be. But again, it's like I don't have the luxury of not having the right centerness, focus, staying focused on the other person, being there to be of value, listen and figure out it's not about me. It's about what I can do to help or focus or be of value to the other person.
Yeah. And don't you find too, when you focus on being of service to other people, that like that monkey mind that's clattering the cymbals and banging all the drums, it just kind of goes, oh, wait, what are we doing? And it just starts to follow suit. And so, like that, I think there's a lot of value in seeing how you can be valuable to other people because it takes you out of yourself. Like most of our problems are self-inflicted because we are worrying about how do I look? What are people going to say? We're only concerning ourselves with our own reputation or our own activity. But when you bring the focus outside of yourself to give, everything opens up after that. So to me, generosity of spirit is one of my big core values. It's being generous with time, attention, money, resources, introductions, being willing to give where there's opportunity to give. And to me, that brings all my relationships closer to me. That allows me to see things more clearly and be really curious because one of the uh causes of this me mindset, or like that I have to do this so that I can make money, is the fact that, we've been taught from a very young age that we've had to learn out of our creativity and train in this industrial age mentality of, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to do what I'm told. But that is the opposite of entrepreneurship. In fact, one of the only ways you can be successful as an entrepreneur is to focus on solving a problem that other people are having. Maybe you've had the same problem before, and then sharing that knowledge, sharing that experience. So the me stuff that's self-inflicted is really only because we've been trained to think this way, that someone else needs to validate us. So we have to prove ourselves. Like Jesse Elder, I love some of the stuff that he's said over the years. He's like, if you come from this place of nothing to hide and nothing to prove, it does create that centered awareness that everything's going to be all right. And like, you're allowed to follow your nudges, your intuition, to create that value. If you're solving problems, there's no time to worry about how you look, but there is time to be concerned and curious about what it is you're developing or what problems you're solving. So, in your professional life and your professional endeavors, what are some of the biggest roadblocks you see to someone being able to embody that like arrival feeling of success, being calm, cool, and collected?
Man, you said such a mouthful, and I want to go back to some of the things you said before we go forward, if
Yeah,
you don't
go for
mind.
it.
You talk about experience, and experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. The point is, when you have those experiences, do you use that as a validation of your lack or a stepping stone? I think about when I started my career, in the roadmap that I got from my parents. And, it wasn't the roadmap to get me there to where I wanted to be. It was like, and you mentioned about worrying, and it was like our family started the high school war cheerleading jacket business in the 1930s. Oldest son, third generation, always expected to run that. But they weren't willing to change, and I could see the handwriting on the wall. There was too much family in the family business. My family, my grandmother was controlling it. She wasn't there. So I realized I needed to make change. And so when you're talking about worrying, back in the beginning stages of my entrepreneurship, read the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, because I knew when I left, and I knew I had to leave, that door was not coming back. So, you take a look at the map of how to succeed as an entrepreneur today. And again, things are continually changing. Everything from, and I don't want to get into the politics, what's going on since the new president's there, to AI, to you name it, the stock market. But again, you can't control that. So you're asking what's going on for the entrepreneur today. It's embracing change, understand things are going to always change. And you take a look at how you're going to take it, or how you going to use that change, recognize that change in a way that will allow you to, to accomplish whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish. One of my mentors, a guy that I met through networking, taught me understanding 3D thinking, understand the depth of what's going on in the other person's world, because the more service or value you are to the other person, understand the distance from where they are to where they want to be, and ultimately, um, the fact, are they determined to, accomplish, make the changes accordingly? Because, it's, we all need to take responsibility for our lives. What changed, the biggest thing that changed back in the beginning, and this relates to even the entrepreneurial's journey, is listening to Wayne Dyer cassette tape series, How to Be a No Limit Person. And I started to realize that I was responsible for what is. And see, once you take responsibility for what is, you can take it to what will be. But most people are in a state of denial. They don't even, which the acronym, don't even notice I am lying. You look at your beliefs, and right in the middle of the word belief is lie. So it's become more conscious and aware of the reality as it relates to the life or the picture of your life that you want to, or the movie of the life that you want to create for yourself. So to me, everything's possible. It's having that balance, having that certainty, knowing that, if you show up in the right thing, and sometimes you got to do it over and over again, that things are going to work out.
I love that. showing up and having that certainty that things are going to work out, because we don't always know where we're going, but you follow the nudges and the threads, like the opportunities that present yourself. You just keep saying yes to what feels like it's in the direction of your vision, and getting sharper and more clear as to what is an attraction for you, and then what's a distraction. How can I identify and prioritize and leverage my attention based on what it is I'm aiming at? So I think a lot of times people confuse goal setting with creating a clear picture of what it is they truly want. Because you're right, most people don't want to look at the things that aren't working. They don't want to look at what is wrong or what isn't really producing results either in their life or in their business, because I mean, I've been there. That means that we have assigned a label of failure, or that may mean that we're assigning it that we have to do something different. We really don't want to address it. We just want to keep the blinders on and keep doing what it is that we're doing. But when you have a thematic goal instead of a tactical goal, and you're seeing yourself in terms of a progression. So for me, this came out when I decided to, put my flag in the sand and say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go open my own consulting business. And what does that even look like? At first, it was marketing, and then it was business development, and it was also, leadership training, and it was personal development. But it was all of these things, and I kept confusing myself even along the way. Like, I am this, so I can't be that. Or I am marketing, so I can't be operational consult. But when you get down out of the labels and you realize I'm here to help, and I was like, oh, so I have somebody in the printing business, somebody who's in real estate, and someone who is a coach, author, and trainer and speaker. I started to notice patterns that, they were either messy in their tactical side of their business or messy in their mindset part of their business, and how those two things interacted. So knowing who they are and where they're looking to go, I was able to say, I can be helpful here. That generosity button came right back to life. And I was able to say, oh, you need help structuring your expenses and your book. So I had one client who, after working with me for 3 months, was able to file back taxes for 3 years that she'd been procrastinating on and not looking at because it was painful that it wasn't done and she didn't feel like she could do it. And like, just being honest, some of the stuff that you're not doing correctly is going to feel a little painful, but avoiding that only makes the pain grow. So having, guides by your side to help you through some of the growth feelings, which are not comfort zone feelings, can really help you out as you move forward. And for me, that looked like being willing to say, I'm an operational consultant, I'm a marketing consultant, I'm a coach, I'm a mindset trainer. And at the end of the day, what emerged was my brand. It's
Yeah.
the consultress, because I am a hybrid of all the experiences it takes to be in business. And when you figure it out that you're not just these little compartments we've been trained to think we have to have a title, we have to have a label, the world opens up. So what I think I'm trying to get at here is, like, we're constantly in motion and we're always evolving. So to think that, you know, I'm gonna stay stuck, or this thing is going to be a problem forever. It's the stuff that causes the suffering in the entrepreneurial journey. Being willing to, open up and see what's working and what's not is the first step in making a quantum shift in your results and in your identity.
I want to jump in because you hit on so many key points, and because as a networker, people are, quite often wanting you, so to speak, to define who you are, what you are. And I can tell people I'm a strategist, which I'm really good. I'm a marketer, I'm a connector, I'm a networker, I'm a serial entrepreneur. But here's the other part of that. When March of 2020 happened, and Clubhouse was a big deal back then, and I was on Clubhouse, and I'm listening to somebody, and somebody talked about the book, The Big Leap. And it's understanding your state of genius. What is the thing that you're really good at, even though you could do multiple other things? So there was, before that, there was a commercial on TV, guy with glasses in Verizon, and he turns around and he says, I got the network behind me. So part of it is knowing that you've got this network of people that you vetted and tested that you can send other people to, and you know that they're going to come away, and you're gonna come away as a VA, not a virtual assistant, but a value add. You sent me an amazing person. Obviously, when you get feedback, I can guarantee you she's gonna tell you that it was very beneficial for her. And so you know what you're really good at, and obviously you could do a lot of other things, but it's gonna take you out of your state of genius. What you So anyhow, I just want to throw that in based on everything that you were just saying.
Yeah. And knowing what that is, right? That can develop over time.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I've heard your career story a bit, so I've got a little bit of privilege here, but can you share your trajectory, like where you started from and kind of where you are now in terms of your development path and maybe one or two key pivots that you took along the way?
Well, I talked about starting our family business. As I was trying to figure out how to get out of the family business, and one of the things, because again, it's knowing, so, having some kind of clarity of where you want to end up. And I always knew I wanted to find the right life partner. And so I ended up running a nightclub. I didn't meet her in a nightclub, but and it happened because of the fact that, I saw things different. I was able to, as a promoter, and figure out how to create an environment to come people in. And then I got into entrepreneurship. One of the a 70-year friend of our family, Harvey McKay, who wrote the book Swim with the Sharks, and what I believe is my networking Bible, which is dig your well before you're thirsty. I look at him as like the godfather in networking, if you so to speak. And so I saw the value of networking. And I've been networking full time. I'm a serial networker since September 7th, 1990. That was the day I was able to walk into my dad, who always wanted the best for me. I remember a word picture that a good friend of mine, used to talk about what it would feel like walking into your boss's office, put your feet up on the desk, pull out a cigar, tell me you can no longer afford to work here. No, I didn't pull out the cigar, but I leaned back in the chair. But it was that word picture of what, sort of like the goal, the vision of what you wanted. You wanted to go into being a full-time entrepreneur. And, I can't tell you, everything was easy. In fact, I came off a stage one time and somebody asked me the question, was it easy? And I didn't have to hesitate to answer, no, it's not easy, but it's worth it. When I first started off, I created six figures in debt. Now, the point is, you don't need to create a lot of debt. But, I realized that everything happens for a reason, because as I was going to be able to mentor other people based on everything that I experienced, I could look them in the eye, speak from the heart, and give them the quality of advice that would be relevant to them.
Mm, right on. And now you work for fun. Like I know that like your favorite thing on the planet is to have conversations with people.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like your network is your net worth. And I've been blessed to be introduced to people in your network. And like you said, I've sent people your way that I'm like, you totally have to speak with Robert. I think, you're a resource that can open doors, but also like you can have a meaningful conversation. And in today's business world, I won't say it's rare, but I think some folks take a lot more repetition than I have found it to take with you to get down to who they are in the core. Because again, it's entrepreneurship's not really for the faint of heart, and you have to build your armor as you go. But so often I find that people are, positioning, positing, trying to like fake it till they make it in their own mind when what they really just need to do, and again, I've learned this lesson time and time again, is just be you.
Yeah, I need to comment about what you said about fake it till you make it, because I heard that
Oh,
early in my career, and I put a different, a different way of looking at it, which is you want to act in relationship to your expected person that you're going to be,
Mhm.
expected earnings. There is no faking, but again, if you see yourself as this other person, you want to start acting. Are you congruent with what you say and what you do? Those little things matter. There's a lot of people that will tell you, you know, whatever, and they self-sabotage themselves by not being congruent.
Mm. Yeah, and that is kind of the Achilles heel of fake it till you make it. Because if you
Yeah.
believe that you're faking it, then when you make it, you're going to look back and say, this isn't me though. I don't own this. I had a personal experience with this back in my early 20s where I was dating someone where I saw all the potential in them and I saw all they could possibly be. And like that for me, I rose colored glasses, Alissa, I saw who I thought they were and I was treating them in that fashion. But what he proved to me in a devastatingly heartbreaking fashion was you have too much confidence and faith in me that I don't actually believe. So he went the other way. He didn't lean into his potential. He
Yep.
went self-destructive. And so the having the vision for yourself in what you can be, but believing that it's possible and that's intentionally where you're going is really, really powerful.
Yep.
And when you have other people that believe in you, if you don't believe in you, like I believe that it causes like the repelling, causes people to bounce off in the other direction because nobody can want it more than you. You have to be the one that's sitting in that. This is where I am going. There's going to be twists and turns along the path, but I'm on my way there. That's why having a vision and having like daily mantras is really important. I mean, I struggle with having them visible every single day, but the fact is when I decided I was going to go swimming every single day, I began to behave like a fit athletic person. And so I was showing up for myself and continuing to prove to myself that this vision matters to me. That's where confidence comes from. It comes from taking those risks and building that identity step at a time.
Yep. And it goes back to what I said to the lady, before I married her. There's nothing or nobody having that, unshakable intention. There was no question of my intention. And if you consistently show up that way, and sometimes you're inconsistently consistent, but you got to adjust accordingly. But yes,
Mhm. Yeah, right on. And the fact that you are a constant work in progress and evolution doesn't mean that you have to shame yourself or, feel bad that you're not already arrived. Like that's the key here, Robert. Like I am so grateful to know you because like you stand in that center and you're like, you're continuing to become who you're meant to be and you're always shedding and letting go of old identities, old beliefs, and it's okay. Like it's all right to have a vision of where you're going to grow to, and it doesn't mean that you've been wrong in the past. That's like the climactic overthrow of the industrial age mentality is that like the more you grow, the better you become, and then that in retrospect defines who you were and then assigns a label of not good enough.
yeah.
So like I enjoy being in your company, but I know everybody here is going to want to spend some time with you. So how can they go about doing that?
Very simple. Go to my calendar, which you're going to put in the link, but it's calendly.com/Butwin, Butwin. My signature tagline is remember, my name is Robert Butwin, and when you connect with Robert, you will do nothing but win.
Yes, mic drop. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Get on his calendar, ladies and gents. And in the meantime, let us know in the comments what you thought was most practical, most valuable, or what you want to hear more of. And we'll be happy to deliver. This is Rise and Shine. We broadcast every single Monday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So click like, subscribe, don't miss another episode. And we will see you next time, friends. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.